Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Edge of Show live in Singapore at Token 2049. This is a special episode as part of a partnership with Input PR. We're co hosting a very cool whiskey and cigar event, and one of our partners is Paybis. I have Konstantin on the show. He's the co founder and chief business development officer at Paybis, a fiat-to-crypto gateway serving individuals and businesses across 180 countries. That's all? That's quite a lot. Pretty impressive. We'll talk about that a little bit and get to know each other better. It's good to see you again, Konstantin. And while we're recording this interview after the event, because it was such a fun time and we had so much people around, we couldn't get to the conversation. It was really a lot of fun to host that event with you, and would love your perspective on why Singapore was an important place for you guys to be in the action.
Cool. Thank you very much, Josh, for having me. And yeah, our event in Singapore was amazing.
Yeah. I think I didn't know how many people in our industry love cigars, but that place was jam packed the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, this is our second this type of cigar event, and now we're already planning the next one for end of this year, maybe in Dubai, end of the year, or the next opportunity will be also, in Dubai and at Token and Paris blockchain. So stay tuned. It will be more.
Yeah, so looking forward to the next one as well. And I think it's all about creative ways to engage our community, develop relationships, and support sort of the rails that you guys have been building for a long time. You've said before, first time crypto users don't fail onboarding, onboarding fails them. And I'd love to sort of unpack what you mean by that and what you think are the biggest hurdles first time users face when trying to buy or use crypto today.
Yeah, I mean, there is always kind of a challenge, right? For companies like us and others, to make it as simple as possible for users to get their first crypto, right? Basically, to onboard them into Web3 space. And I mean, right now, I think it's the last research I did was like 7-8% of world population is onboarded into Web3 space, basically into crypto. So when people are, trying to get their first cryptocurrency, they need to have a very simple way to do it. And for example, even in Singapore, I had a discussion with one of the taxi drivers, like who was asking me, "Why you here? What is the conference?" When I told him that I'm here for business, and I told him about crypto, and he said, "Well, I heard about it for like many years, but I never put my head around how to get one." So this is basically the mission that we are trying to solve, that every person out there who is not into crypto yet would find an easy way to get into it, right? And whenever you have to, I mean, typically the journey starts from finding a crypto wallet where you would keep the crypto, right? And then the onboarding journey to Web3 starts exactly from finding a wallet, figuring out like how to create an account. Is it, I mean, and you know that many non-custodial wallets ask you like, remember these 12 seed phrases, which is a big challenge for non-crypto native people. I have no
Yeah,
idea what is that.
it seems relatively simple from a design perspective. Oh, you just write down these words, but like how
If
many
you're on the go,
how many people even have a pad of paper and a pen anymore, right? And then if
typically you would screenshot it, right, and keep it on your phone, which is not secure.
right, or you put it, or you have to sort of know to have like a password sort of keeper. We use one password at our company, but
100%.
that's that costs money. Maybe you don't have the money for that, right? Or you're not familiar with that technology. I mean, it's not easy. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, and more companies are trying to solve this, right? So the latest trend in crypto wallet, let's say, industry is that they are leveraging the passphrases and secret password storages on iOS, on Google. So, for example, now modern crypto wallets would suggest you, okay, just save your access in one password or in Google Chrome passwords or in iOS passwords, and you typically people would do yes. I don't want to kind of remember everything. I just will save it in my keychain on my iPhone and continue using the wallet. So this problem is getting already, is being solved more or less. Of course, we were outsourcing the security to some third-party provider, but most people would do it. And then the next phase of onboarding would be to actually buying the first cryptocurrency, right? And this is where our company comes in, trying to make it easy for crypto wallets, exchanges, DeFi projects to to deliver the first crypto to the customer. Of course, people have to buy it, right? But the experience of purchasing your first Solana or Ethereum or Bitcoin should be as simple as buying shoes online or any other digital goods online, right? You should be able to click with Apple Pay and get your product that you want delivered to your wallet. So this is the goal we had in mind when we have been trying to build our on-ramp solution, to make it as simple as any e-commerce experience. Because typically, like 5 years ago, you would have to start with registering with on-ramp provider, registering again, entering your email, doing QIC, thinking about payment method, and so on. It's the more steps you have, the more drop-off you have. So the goal is to try to help the companies to build the UI UX in the most easiest way, to eliminate all this, let's say, complex points. So any person, even on the go, on his phone, in several clicks, can get into crypto.
Yeah, totally hear you there. So, what have we learned from all these different countries that you guys support? I mean, 180 countries. I'm sure there's some similarities and some geographical differences there that sort of go through your mind as you're sort of building out your product and thinking about how to solve this onboarding issue.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about the countries, of course, the main onboarding hurdle are the payment methods, right? Because in Europe, most people are using, uh, Visa, Mastercard, credit or debit cards. It's like everybody has several in Apple Pay, for example, and it's easy then to use it in Europe. And so for example, for Europe, the fastest onboarding would be through Apple Pay. The same for US. The countries where Visa, Mastercard adoption is quite good. Then, of course, if people want to buy like large amounts of crypto, they would search for something cheaper, because Visa and Mastercard are still quite on expensive side because of all the fees, foreign exchange, interchange, and so on and so on. It's quite inexpensive compared to, let's say, bank transfer. So if you're in Europe, you can benefit from instant bank transfers within Europe and get your crypto almost the same speed as with Visa, Mastercard, but at like a fraction of the cost. And then, for example, other regions, let's say Latin America, right? Most people there are not using Visa, Mastercards. They have local payment methods like Pix in Brazil, Spain, in Mexico, right? So the people are using local payment providers. The same with in Asia. In China, in the, let's say, other Asian countries, in the Philippines and Thailand, people are using local payment methods like Alipay, WeChat Pay, Grab Pay, and there are plenty of them where you just scan QR code and that's it, right? You don't even have a card that's just connected to your bank account with money gets deducted immediately. So, of course, to kind of onboard people in these regions, you need to give them local rails, and which is quite challenging in many cases because using Mastercard and major banks, especially in Europe these days, are okay with cryptocurrency purchase. They understand what people are doing, and they don't think it's high risk anymore. Like I don't know, they have been thinking 5 years ago, and they treated crypto as gambling or forex or some high risk stuff. So most of these payment systems are okay with crypto now, but in other regions like Latin America, Africa, and Asia, many of those local payment methods are still not, so as we call them, crypto friendly yet. And this is a challenge, right? Because if people get used to local payment rails for their daily life, and that local payment rail does not yet have a risk tolerance for crypto purchases, then people have to use some other tools, which again introduce additional complexities into getting into crypto.
Well, let's pivot over to Europe and the US. I mean, they're both sort of looking at regulations differently than even a year ago. What are some of the nuances there in your mind?
Well, Europe is now, I think, moving to become the most regulated, let's say, group or continent out there, because we all know that there are MiCA, travel rule, all these regulations, which are, of course, I mean, the focus of these regulations is consumer right protection. And this is actually good for industry because people start trusting more, and they start trusting more the whole crypto industry, right? So, for example, what we see, interesting trend, let's say beginning of this year, that we have more customers buying crypto in Europe than in US. If let's say last year, for us, Europe was the most dominant market. Most of our customers were coming from US. What we see during this year, that there is a spike in interest in crypto from Europe, from France, from Germany, from different European countries, and actually there is a decrease in interest in crypto in US, which is surprising, right? But it is, in a sense, also thanks to the regulations, because people in Europe understand that, you know, the service providers, the merchants, which you are using to buy crypto from, right? It's like financial institutions. They are becoming regulated. I mean, Europe is now looking over. It's like having a trust to the banking system, right? I mean, all of us, most of us in Europe and US trust the banking system, and you don't have any hesitation to put your money on the bank account. The same starts to happening in crypto. So people are start trusting companies like us, exchanges, that they could put money in. They would trust that this exchange would, let's say, not misuse the funds because of the regulation, right? Because regulation requires, I mean, we are now ongoing the application for MiCA as well. And I mean, it requires to improve a lot of processes internally, right? To become, so companies become more mature, more responsible. You get financial audits like any bank or financial institution. And basically, if you don't follow the regulations, you will get a fine. So this motivates companies like ours to keep everything according to regulations, which in the end makes it more secure for people to keep their funds with us and continue buying from us, because they know that we're not going to run away. They know that we're regulated, and the level of trust in crypto increases.
Yeah, that all makes a lot of sense. Can you comment briefly on sort of the intersection between banks, fintechs, and crypto gateways, and how you see this evolving with sort of this idea of these credit cards that are sort of super cards, if you will, sort of like super apps in Asia, right? Are you optimistic that this is going to speed up adoption? I got one of those cards when I was at Token, and I haven't activated it yet, but it makes a lot of sense to me to have one card that I can sort of use stablecoins. I can use a traditional credit card. I can pay with crypto. And it's sort of, I'm optimistic that those types of products are going to have a more likely opportunity to go mainstream. I mean, it's cool what Gemini is doing with a traditional credit card that you can sort of earn Bitcoin interest, but I think we need to sort of go beyond that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, there is a trend in crypto industry for the last, I would say, 5 years, with crypto debit cards. Every company out there wants to have their own debit card so they can allow their customers to spend their crypto. I mean, even we are planning to do it on our B2C part of things, even though we can be very much focused on B2B stuff. But it's the same. I mean, the competition is the same as with the traditional bank cards, right? You have banks competing to neo banks and different payment institutions. And for example, you can have a card from the bank account, from the traditional bank, or you can have a card from another bank. And the only difference is that you get different perks, different benefits, maybe different price plans, and like somebody will give you insurance, will give you free Netflix, somebody will give you cash back, and so on and so on. So with crypto industry, it is already the same. right? The companies are trying to create crypto cards to give extra value for their users, which is great because I mean, a lot of people are getting money into crypto. They start earning, and of course, they want to spend it. And this is kind of one direction where institutions are adopting crypto, so to say. But there is another trend which is visible, especially the last year, where more traditional finance companies and traditional institutions are getting into stablecoins because they realized that now they can, let's say, manage their business relationship with other companies using stablecoins instead of traditional bank transfers, right? So, for example, if a company is doing business and they have customers in the US or in Asia, and they are, for example, in Europe, then they would have to think about foreign exchange. They would have to think about multi-currency bank accounts. They would have to think about transaction times because sending money between the continents through SWIFT system would take maybe 3-5 business days. If there are banking holidays, they need to think about that. And of course, when you do in any type of business, you have to deal with cash flow, right? And cash flow is really impacted by the speed of these transactions. That's why a lot of companies and a lot of businesses are now looking and start adopting stablecoins because they see that using stablecoins, they become adopted also by other businesses. You can issue invoices in stablecoins, you can pay invoices in stablecoins, you can do a lot of stuff, and it increases the speed of money exchange. And let's say with the one, with the same capital, imagine a simple scenario. You have, let's say, 1 million, right? And you buy some goods and you sell them. So you buy goods today, you sell them the next 3 days, you will get money back maybe in another 3 days. So you need to wait until you get your money back to buy another batch of goods and sell them again. So if you start getting all the settlements in stablecoin, you sell for 1 million today, you get settlement today back from your banks or your financial institutions in stablecoin, you go and buy the goods today. So maybe you will increase the volume of your business, your trading volume, like 3-4 times, because this duration of settlement time is increasing significantly with stablecoins. And this is where these things coming into the play. And again, regulations in US and Europe, they help also businesses to trust that crypto is there to stay and it can actually solve their business problems.
Well, I appreciate your perspective, and always good to chat with you. You have a very interesting vantage point of what's happening here with the great global onboarding challenge that we talk about, I think, at every event, most panels, right? Let's just sort of take a step back for a moment as you kind of reflect on Token 2049, the conversations that you had at our event together. Do you have any new insights or takeaways on what it's going to take to scale crypto adoption globally?
That's a good question. I mean, what I see, and on every conference we go to, and I'm in crypto for like 11 years, that there are companies which innovate all the time. So I think cryptocurrency, our crypto industry is the fastest innovating industry out there, right? Because every conference, every year, you see new companies popping up with different use cases, right? That have never been done before, and now, like thanks to the blockchain technology, they can do it. But what I wanted to say with this is that these new companies with new business cases, they let's say, invite Web2 people to try them out. For example, I'll give you a couple of cases. I met the guys who are building something like booking.com with crypto, right? So where you can actually book different hotels, flights, tickets with crypto. And I mean, of course, these guys are targeting Web3 people because they're targeting the people who are already with crypto, and they, for example, instead of using debit cards or and paying on booking.com, maybe they would just use their crypto and pay on another platform. For them, it's of course a challenge to get trust from their customers and so on. But the point here is that there are like two companies out there right now who are doing something like this. So and then they appeared on the market just basically this year. Late last year, but there was no use cases like that a year before. And of course, when they offer better pricing and better rates for the same hotel, they are targeting Web2 people as well to go, look, alternative to booking.com, for example, right? You can book tickets with us. They have special promotions and so on. I mean, in all the industries, you have new startups which are entering the space, trying to do the same as everybody else, but they're doing it better, and they get more customers. So this is one direction where I see we will have more people coming into crypto, because a lot of companies are trying to innovate and bring more Web2 people into Web3 space, giving them like gamification and different perks. And then, of course, the next big thing, which I think is coming in the next couple of years, is the DeFi space will start targeting Web2 people, right? Because now all the DeFi projects mainly are for Web3 people. When you understand crypto, then you can go to Aave, you go to Morpho, you go to Aerodrome, and these guys are still in the mindset where they think they have to just focus on Web3 people. But I see the paradigm is starting to change, because when I talk to these guys and explain that, look, now actually with solution like ours, you can start targeting Web2 people and offer them, let's say, in stablecoin, you get like easily 5% APR as passive income. You can focus on inviting Web2 people to invest, let's say, and get the passive 5% APR through investing into, let's say, stablecoin, which is low risk. All these protocols, let's say decentralized protocols for staking, are also low risk. So it's a good alternative for putting your, let's say, money into the bank and getting 1%, maybe 2% maximum API, instead of going into crypto space and getting 5 or even 10 or 15% API. And this is, again, the space where people will start targeting Web2 guys and bringing more Web2 people into the space. Of course, they have to educate them a lot on the way, but we're just helping them to bridge this gap as well with our solution.
Well, appreciate your insights again. Yeah, shout out to companies like Book It Now and Sleep.io, who are sort of doing some things in the travel
industry. Exactly
Sleep.io
I mentioned.
Yeah. And they're a partner for our upcoming event in DC, and I think all these types of products. I know a lot of these RWA platforms are thinking about, a Web3 friendly version of every major business that's out there, and some will succeed and some will fail, but it's going to be a fun ride, and that's why we love this industry. If people want to learn more about Paybis, follow you guys on X, where should they go?
You should go to paybis.com first of all, explore our solution for you, for individual or for your business, and then of course you can go on Twitter Spaces, on X, basically these days, X, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, right? So if you are into fun content, Instagram and X is where you get some fun insights about what we do. If you are more like corporate style communication, you will go to LinkedIn and see like which conferences we're attending, which new features we're releasing, which partners we're going live with, like depending on your interest.
Right on. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Josh, for having me. It is always a pleasure to talk to you.
We've reached the outer limit at the Edge of Show for today. Thanks for exploring with us. We have room for more adventurers on our starship, so invite your friends and cool strangers to join our journey. If you're among the hundreds of thousands following us on Spotify, iTunes, iHeartRadio, or watching us on Myco or YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, rate us, and make an awesome comment too. And don't forget to pass this episode along to a friend or two who would benefit from it. Doubling back to again, recommend checking out myco.io, where you can watch The Edge of Show and earn for your time and attention. That's myco.io. Don't forget to visit theedgeofshow.com. The is part of the domain name, where you can learn more about collaborating with us and also subscribe to the Edge of Weekly newsletter for the latest Web3 news, events, and show drops. In addition, connect with us on all major social platforms by searching for The Edge of Show. Join the exciting conversations happening online. Lastly, be sure to tune in next time for more great Web3 and AI content. Until then, keep pushing the boundaries. Thanks again for hanging out with us today. The views and opinions expressed on The Edge of Show reflect solely those views and opinions of the show host and its guests. Please make sure to do your own research. Our show is not financial advice. You understand that you are using any and all information on or through this podcast at your own risk. Whenever making financial decisions, we recommend doing your own research and talking to your accountant for financial advice. From time to time, we may feature sponsored content on the show for which we receive value, and we may share links for which we receive a commission if you make a purchase through one of these links. Refer to our website, www.edgeofnft.com, for our full disclaimer, terms and conditions, and privacy policy.